The influencer marketing space is going to be like a $30 billion industry in the next couple of years. NFL money is great, like don't get me wrong.
Yeah, for sure.
But the lifestyle keeps you spending the money. So if you're not doing things to actually grow that money, grow your personal brand and all that, you're going to end up right back where you started.
Nicole Kotler here, sports agent and social media expert.
Instagram is the new Google search. People are going to look up who Nicole Kotler is, they're going to Instagram.
Yeah.
And so it becomes your digital footprint, it becomes your personal brand. That's how you also get more business organically. I think the big thing that I've seen in this space is not even so much followers per se, but posting good content consistently. Because a lot of brands will sometimes target like micro influencers.
Right, yeah.
If you have under 10,000 followers, but you're posting really high quality content that's good, a brand may want to allocate money to you over someone that maybe has 50 to 70,000 followers, because for them, they can then repurpose that content for their social media. When people ask like, oh, what's it like being a female in the space? I say it has its pros and it has its cons, right?
Yeah.
And so I think that you definitely have a competitive advantage because you stand out, right?
Yeah, 100%.
But now you have to actually use that in a positive way, but it also can come with consequences. I'm not a huge fan of NIL, and there's just so many not great individuals in this space that come into these guys' lives.
All right, guys, this is Chris Colgan, of course. Another episode of the Chris Colgan Show. I got Nicole Kotler here, sports agent and social media expert. I appreciate her coming on the show. This episode, we dive deep into a ton of cool topics like business, Northern Virginia and DC area, and we're also just chilling in this cool mansion, so I hope you guys enjoy the episode. All right, guys, so I got Nicole Kotler here. I appreciate you joining my podcast. First of all, though, I got to get a shout out to Premier Homes Group. Like, this house is crazy, right?
Insane. So nice.
Yeah.
I wish it was mine.
I do too. Like, I feel like this should be mine. The builder rep there, she's walking around here somewhere. But yeah, so like, tell me a little bit about you and like the agency that you work with. Cause I found you on Instagram. Like, we just started like talking on there and I was like, I didn't even know like that was around. That's really cool.
Yeah, no, I think I saw some of your posts and I was like, oh, I love this. Like, it was just like providing value.
Yeah.
And that's all what I'm about. So my role at my agency, I work for a sports agency, is so I'm the director of marketing and I do client services, but I'm also a certified NFL agent. It's a whole long story of how I actually got here.
Right.
It's crazy because I feel like sometimes like when you go through college and you have this vision in your head of like what you want to do, you could look 5, 10, 15 years and you're like...
and then like someone comes into your life or something happened and then the trajectory totally changes.
Totally changes.
Yeah.
And that's literally how it was for me. I mean, going into college, I thought I wanted to be in finance. Like I was like, I want to be in private equity, investment banking, venture capital. And so that was what I studied in school. I studied finance and management. And in school, I loved it. But then when I actually got to doing it, miserable. I was working 80, 90 hours a week. Man. I was making good money, but ultimately I realized like that's not the key to happiness, and doing something you love every single day, that's truly what will drive your purpose. So I was doing that and I was just like, wow, I hate this. And so then I did that for a couple of years. And then when the pandemic happened, that's when I kind of wanted to shift my focus to doing something that I was passionate about.
Yeah, for sure.
And I've always been passionate about sports. Like I've always enjoyed sports, but actually when I was at Tulane, I actually used to tutor student athletes, specifically the football team, in like accounting, finance.
Did they actually go to classes though? Because I hear,
at Tulane they had to.
Okay, gotcha.
I went to Tulane, and Tulane's a really difficult school.
Yeah, that is.
And so they had to maintain a certain GPA.
Right.
So yes, they actually did, and so I tutored them in like econ, accounting, finance, all that.
Oh wow, that's cool.
Yeah, and so I was just always around that lifestyle, and I understood like the demands of athletes, like what is required of them. And so when I quit my finance job, I was like, okay, I want to do something around sports, but I'm not really sure what. So I started reaching out to a whole bunch of different agencies, like on the basketball side, football side, and I connected with my boss now / business partner, a guy by the name of Joshua Grady, who started his own agency. He actually played college ball at a high level, so he played at Florida and Vanderbilt.
Oh wow, it's like huge schools.
Yeah, so he played, and he like saw a lot of his teammates going through this process, and he ultimately was like, I don't like how a lot of agents in the space kind of view athletes, so he decided to do it on his own, like being that he was a player. So I connected with him, and the rest is kind of history.
I feel like it's cool too, like if someone was a player, then to get into it and like start them, because they actually, like you said, they know the type of support and all that you need and all the different things that you kind of go through.
100%. And also, like, he saw a lot of his teammates go through this process and sign with the big of the big agencies and then maybe fall through the cracks a little bit. And so there were certain things that he wanted to be really intentional about, not just focusing on these athletes' careers on the field, but really focusing on their careers off of the field, because that's truly what creates generational wealth.
Right.
Like, NFL money is great, like, don't get me wrong.
Yeah, for sure.
But the lifestyle keeps you spending the money sometimes.
Yes, and you're like got a bunch of expectations around you.
100%. So if you're not doing things to actually grow that money, grow your personal brand and all that, you're going to end up right back where you started. And so that's why he started the agency, and I just fell in love with that mission. And I was like, okay, I want to be a part of this. Like, any way I can get a part of this, let me know. I'll work for free.
Yeah,
really
that's all. Yeah, that's
him.
what you got to do sometimes, especially like to get in an NFL agency. Because I was going to ask you, like, this was like years ago. I was like, I'm bored with real estate. I'm going to become an NFL agent. And then I looked and it wasn't like, I thought it was like a real estate exam. It's not like that at all. Like, you have to have like a lot of background and like testing, right?
Yeah, so actually you need to have a postgraduate degree.
Okay.
It doesn't really matter in what per se, but you need a postgraduate degree, which was something I was never, like, I knew I was going to maybe go back to school, but maybe not yet. But once I was working on the marketing side, being integrated in the agency, I was like, okay, I want to be an NFL agent, but I need to go back to school. So actually last December, literally a year ago, I completed my Master of Law. So I actually got a law degree.
Wow.
Not a lawyer, but I can still read, understand contracts, things
law,
of that sort. So I got my postgraduate degree in law, and then I studied for the exam for like 4 to 5 months. Like, the exam's actually pretty tough.
Yeah.
And the crazy thing is it's open book. But,
oh, wow, yeah. Then that's still tough.
Yeah, but I always told people, like, just because it's open book does not make it easy, because I feel like when it's open book, they expect you not to prepare.
Yeah, exactly. They feel like you're just going to walk in there. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I feel like, too, like the NFL, they got to be, like, very, like the players, they probably keep them so guarded. Like, they got to make it hard to get a license,
Yeah, because, I mean, it's such a... From the outside, to a lot of people, it's an attractive career. So they want to kind of wean out those people that are maybe getting into it for the wrong reasons.
Yeah, for the hell of it, yeah.
So that's why I think they make it so difficult.
Yeah.
But I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. Did he was he from DC, or what made him like kind of choose, you guys choose DC as like a location?
So actually, we don't have a centralized office. So we all work from home. So he's actually in Nashville.
Cool, okay.
So we're all over the place. And I think that's the blessing
of you guys
of COVID.
travel, because I follow you obviously on Instagram. I see you're like meeting here, you're in this meeting, like all over the country.
Yeah, and I think that's what makes it so nice about us all being in different areas. Because then also when we have players on teams in the respective areas, we're like right there. Like, we have a client that's on the Ravens. So if like he needs anything, it's a quick drive for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We at one point had a client on the Titans. So for him, it's quick drive. And we have 11 people that work at our agency.
That's
and
awesome.
We're all kind of like spread across the United States.
Yeah, for sure.
Primarily East Coast and like Southeast. And
yeah.
The South, not too much on the West Coast.
Yeah, and that's like where most of the teams are, like around this area, South and all that. Yeah, for sure. Like, what's like, I mean, I guess it probably varies. When you're like working with an NFL player, is that like a lot of demand from them, or you're like watching out for them, or does it depend on the player?
It's very like player dependent, I would say. We have
I feel like I'd be a prima donna, especially if I was like popular in football. I'd have you like, taking care of me 24/7. Yeah.
No, I think that, it's very player dependent. I love all of our clients. Like, that's one thing I'd say. We are super blessed to have really, really good clients. I would say we have some clients that maybe need more like hands-on assistance. And then we have others that are like, we don't need help with anything. We're good. Like, we check in with them. For us, like, we have a very intimate style approach. Like, we want to be there for our clients if our clients need anything in any way, shape, or form. Yeah. So we try to be that and we offer that, but some clients are just like, we don't need that.
Yeah, like I'm gonna do a random question. Like, the NFL players, I mean, they got to work their ass off like 24/7, right? Like, I wouldn't imagine it's not like much downtime for them.
No, they have their off season, which is nice. Like, once the season ends, so they have a little bit of like free time. That's when they travel, do all that stuff. But it's a very rigorous schedule. Yeah, it's just tiring. Not even just like the physical exhaustion that comes from practicing the games, all of that. It's the mental component.
Yeah, like the game, the films, and all of that.
Yeah, they have to watch film. They have to study the playbook. They have to do all of that stuff, and it's just like the mindset of going in every single day, because you're really competing for your job every single
100%.
day.
Yeah. One of my neighbors, he was like 20 years in the league, and he was telling me, man, like, you could be like there, and like next year they draft somebody, and you're like, what the heck? Why I'm here?
It's the one, I think it's like professional sports as a whole is kind of that one industry that I think someone is always coming for your
Yeah,
job.
exactly,
I mean, I
yeah.
think that's the same though with real estate.
Yeah, 100%.
You know what I
yeah.
mean? There's always new real estate agents. You always have to like keep up with your clients, keep up with your existing clients, like
Yeah.
things of that sort. But professional sports is so
And you're like on a
cutthroat.
time crunch, you know what I mean? Yeah, for
And
sure.
also, yeah, that's the thing with professional sports is like you only have a finite period of time
Yeah.
for your career. Like
Right.
just due to like
yeah,
getting older.
Yeah, as you get
know
older,
what I
yeah,
mean?
things change. Yeah,
Not
for sure.
everybody's Tom Brady. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
exactly. Not everyone is like me and Tom Brady. You're exactly right. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, too, like, I would imagine, like, just as an NFL agent, like, you have to change all the time, too. Like, being in real estate, I think I've done this so long because I always change with the technology or, like, the new resources and tools. Is it, like, constantly changing?
I would say on the like obviously you have to stay up to date on contract knowledge,
Right,
things of
yeah.
that sort, what's going on in free agency, things of that sort. I would say the biggest change is really meeting players' new demands. So I think something that we've seen in the space that has changed is players' demands to want to be more than just athletes. I think if
Yeah.
you go back in time, they're like, we're just going to focus on ball, right? We're just going to focus on football
Right,
or
yeah.
whatever professional sport they're in. But I think now there's like this transition of like, we want to be more than just an athlete.
Yeah.
And so that's really the side of it. And that's where I come in. And that's really why I love this space is because it's now the personal brand is like, who are you beyond the football field?
Yeah, like when the football ends, can you keep their career going? Or
Yeah.
because you said you manage like social media stuff too, right?
Yeah, so not only, so our agency kind of has like two buckets. So it's like the NFL agency side, but we also have a talent agency side. And that's where we also represent like influencers, college athletes, like anyone that's not
yeah.
basically football, we do on that side. And even in the past, we've actually represented some brands and helped
Nice,
facilitate
yeah.
like campaigns. Like they'll come to us with a budget and they'll be like, hey, can you allocate this budget towards different clients? And they may not even be our clients,
Yeah.
but just other clients. But yeah, so I represent other talent as well on the flip side, on the influencer side.
Yeah,
as
yeah,
well.
because I like from my sneakers page I used to run, I got a couple brand deals, and there's like a lot of work behind the scenes. Like they would make me like felt like a whole outline, and they want me to do editing, and a couple of them I was like, this isn't even worth the money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I wish I would have had someone like that. Yeah, but like do the like with college, do you guys do like any of the NIL stuff? I don't know much about that to be honest with you. Yeah.
So we did. So right when NIL became a thing, we jumped in full force into that. That's actually how, on the influencer side, that's actually how I now work with some of the influencers that I have. So
Gotcha.
we signed them for NIL. They weren't football. They did soccer.
Oh,
One
okay.
of the girls I represent,
Yeah.
she did soccer. Her boyfriend did football, and another one did football. And so it wasn't all football, but
Right.
we jumped in on that bandwagon. And honestly, I feel like the space has gotten really concentrated.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I'm not a huge fan of NIL, to be
Yeah.
honest, just because I don't think that there's enough guidance in the space as to like how to appropriately work with brands for a lot of these college athletes. Like, I mean, some athletes take it super seriously when
Right,
working with
yeah.
brands, but a lot of other times not so much. And so that's why I've kind of like stepped away from NIL and solely focus on like influencers who like that's their main career,
Yeah.
or the NFL side of things and really leveraging that because I think they just have a different headspace.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's like Nick Saban or something. He got out of college football because of NIL. He was like, I hate it so
It
much.
just
It
changed the
game.
landscape
Yeah.
so much, even just like with collectives, which is a whole other piece to NIL that's not even just like brand deals, but it's
Right.
like the collectives within the schools. And I think it muddied the water a little bit. But don't get me wrong, I have always been for like
Yeah, the athletes
getting
getting
paid.
paid. Yeah, 100%.
Because the amount of stuff that they have to go
Yeah,
through
seriously.
upon keeping like their academics a
Yeah.
certain level, like that is so much work and effort. So I've always kind of been for that, but I just don't know to what degree.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it's kind of like the Wild West at the moment. You know what I mean? A little bit. Yeah, because I mean, I saw like a TikTok and they put up the players' parking lot and it was all like Ferraris and Challengers. And I'm like, man, that's crazy, you know, but I'm sure you got a lot of people throwing you money and stuff like that when you're in that position.
And you're so young too.
Yeah,
so you
100%,
don't even
like
have,
18 years old.
You don't
Yeah.
have the foundation in place to be able to handle something
Right.
like that either. Not saying that you can't or you won't be able to. And then there's just so many not great individuals in this space that come into these guys' lives, and I think
Yeah.
they try to like do things, and it just ends up becoming shady. So that's why I'm like, I kind of stepped out of NIL for literally that reason. That I'm just like,
Yeah, that makes total sense. Now, like, you know, one thing I want to talk to you about is there like a lot of like female agents? Like I know Jalen Hurts, right? Like his agent's a female, and he got
Yeah.
like a huge deal. Like,
there really, honestly, isn't that many.
Wow,
like
that's
the
crazy.
one that everybody knows about is Nicole Lynn. So that's Jalen Hurts' agent.
Okay,
She's
cool, yeah.
huge. But yeah, there's not that many. So
That's cool, yeah, because you could like kind of like frontier that for sure.
So I tell people, because when people ask like, oh, what's it like being a female in the space? I say it has its pros and it has its cons,
Right,
right?
yeah.
And so I think that you definitely have a competitive advantage because you stand out, right?
Yeah, 100%.
But now you have to actually use that
Yeah.
in a positive way, but it also can come with consequences. Maybe people don't take you seriously, and so you have
Right.
to come in on your stuff because you're going to be questioned more than maybe a male counterpart.
Yeah, 100%,
right?
yeah.
But I dealt with that in finance. Finance is
Yeah, finance
the exact
seems really cutthroat, yeah.
Yeah, finance was, and that was a little bit of why I got out of it. And so finance is kind of that same way.
Yeah,
too.
100%. Like, so like you've seen a lot of athletes, right? If someone's like a young athlete, or I feel like you gotta like be doing that for like your whole life almost, right? Like you gotta be like have that right mindset to like go through. Is that what you've seen? I mean, like
Yeah.
there are some people that are like walk-ons, like my friend Santana Moss, I think he was at like Miami. But is that kind of like what you've seen? Like, what advice would you give someone who's like a really young athlete?
Talent will get you so far, right? Talent
Yeah.
will get you to the league, but the mindset is what keeps you there.
Gotcha.
Like
yeah.
we see all the time, talented guys get drafted, they go to the league, they're there for a year or two, they're out.
That's crazy.
Because once you get there, it's the best of the best.
Right.
So like it's harder for you to stand out if you don't have it right up here. And that's why
Yeah.
for us, like that's why it's so important that when we're working with a potential client, like we're looking for guys that have it right up here.
Right.
Because that's really what's going to extend your career is having the mindset, the NFL mindset. That's what we like to
Yeah,
call it.
I could only imagine like the demand. You have like so many different people you're meeting, so many different opportunities you're getting hit at. And then it's also too, like I'm sure like, a lot of people like for lack of a term, like kissing your ass. And you're like, who's legit and who's not, That's probably where an agent probably comes in like 100%.
100%. If you're a good agent and you actually care about your clients,
Right, yeah.
I think that's where you can kind of come in to kind of be that support as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Are you like on like 24/7 call like all the time? Because I would imagine an NFL player, they're busy, then they call. I mean, you probably are, right?
Yes, and it's not even just with our NFL clients. Like on the influencer side, that's
yeah.
where I feel like I'm actually on the most call because a lot of my influencers, since they do brand deals,
Right.
like they're doing this multiple brand deals per week sometimes, you're constantly on the call, like going back and forth with the brand, having questions, things like that. I have this one influencer client, they're a couple, and they were actually in Italy, and they were doing a brand deal, but her boyfriend was actually proposing to her, but it was also like a brand deal that we worked out. And like
gotcha.
they're calling me like at 8 a.m. in Italy.
Yeah,
and it's
which is like middle of the night here.
yeah, middle of the night here. And so I had my phone on, and like I'm cool with that though. Like, see, that
Yeah,
doesn't
that's the thing with
bother
real
me.
estate too. Like in real estate, you got to respond like this. I've seen
Yeah.
like many like young people. I'm looking at my sister. She's probably like a grand. Like we've seen many like younger people get into real estate, and they're like, "Oh, I'll call them tomorrow." And I'm like, "Dude, you're not gonna make it."
And that's also
Yeah.
like what ruins the opportunity
Yeah,
too.
100%.
Because like at least in our space, like the biggest thing that I think is a value add is if like you would think that it would just be commonplace, but if you're like urgent and you get things done. I think
Yeah.
urgency is the main differentiator if like you're gonna be successful or
Like,
not. Like
100%.
If
I
you
couldn't
don't
agree more.
act within urgency,
Yeah.
somebody else is gonna get that opportunity.
Yeah, I tell people like put your shoes, like be like in the consumer shoes. And if you're like, hey, I'm gonna buy a house or I'm gonna do this, like you want to be responded to quickly. You don't be like, oh yeah, they'll get back to me like next week. This doesn't work like that.
I 100% agree. It's the same way in this space.
Is there like a metric like that if someone like wants to be like an influencer, they're getting brand deals, like amount of followers? Like what do people look for? Because it's weird. I've had like businesses even hit me up about the real estate stuff, and then I don't even know what to say to them, to be honest.
Yeah. I think it varies. I think the big thing that I've seen in this space is not even so much followers per se, but posting good content consistently.
Yeah.
Because a lot of brands will sometimes target like, let's say like micro influencers,
Right, yeah.
which are people under 10,000 followers. And if you have under 10,000 followers, but you're posting really high quality content that's good, a brand may want to allocate money to you over someone that maybe has 50 to 70,000 followers and posts bad content.
Yeah,
Because for
100%.
them, they can then repurpose that content for their social media.
Yeah.
So not only are they getting brand exposure, they're looking more at it as like we get content that now we can repurpose.
Yeah, we
and
can repurpose it and use
Exactly.
it all. Yeah, 100%. Like, so do you like, so they might say like you negotiate that on their behalf and kind of help them set everything up?
Yeah, 100%. So I'll like we do a lot of outreach, so we'll reach out to a lot of different brands to try and see like which would be a fit, if they're running any sort of campaigns that our clients would work for. And then if they end up doing an offer, that's when we kind of go back and forth and negotiate on price and things of that sort.
Yeah, a lot of it too. Like I've had like weird, not even, that's even weird. Like I've had like random companies hit me up. They're like, hey, like, we're a smoke detector company. Can you do an ad? And I'm like, dude, it's not going to work well in my, real estate space. That's like a whole nother dynamic of it. It's like making sure that it will even work well for the brand.
Yeah, I have some clients, and it really depends on situation. I have some clients that are like, give me anything. Like I will literally take anything. I don't care what space
exactly.
it's in.
Yeah.
And then I have some that are like, no, I only want to do stuff that like feels organic and authentic to me.
Right.
And truthfully, from the brand's perspective, that's actually when the partnerships work the best.
Yeah.
As if like the talent, whether it's athlete, influencer, whoever, actually resonates with the product that they're promoting.
Right, 100%.
Because if you don't, it's like, this just seems like an ad.
Yeah, is it hard to like outreach brands, like for you to get deals? You have to like kiss a lot of frogs, talk to a lot of people?
It's a lot of knocking on doors.
Yeah,
like,
100%.
Which I'm sure like when you got started in real estate, same thing. A lot of knocking on doors, trying to get your first client, all that.
Yeah.
It's a lot of that. But then I think once you get integrated in the space, it just flows. So a lot of agencies, the way that they approach it, where I feel like this is where we actually set ourselves apart, a lot of agencies, they wait for deals to come to their clients.
Yeah, and then,
Yeah, that is great if you have top guys, right?
Yeah.
But like for us, we want to make sure that does not matter the client that we have, people know who they are.
Yeah.
And that's where it's a lot of knocking on doors, making connections. I've actually been blessed that I've been able to do that, and I also am like network queen. Like I love to
that's
network.
Awesome. Yeah, that's
Networking
a
is
good
my favorite
trick.
thing.
Yeah, like I tell people, like again, like the other thing is if you don't have the gift of gab and like respond quickly, it's hard to make it in sales, or you just got to know a ton of people. Like you got to become from a crazy family.
But that comes also from networking or
100%.
your family, like what you said.
Yeah, exactly. Because like we have these huge client parties, and and it's mainly just to get more clients, and like a lot of the agents will be like, I want to invite my friends, and I'm like, dude, that's what you're in. Like you're in sales, like invite them. Even if they don't show up, you at least invited them, and they feel like, oh, cool, like this person keeps me engaged. That's how I built my whole database.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, I think the main thing was like you don't want to be a secret agent.
No.
Whether it's
100%.
real estate, whether it's NFL agent, talent representation, people need to know what you do.
Yeah. Like when people talk to me about social media, like when they ask me for advice, I'm like, first of all, like, and I said this for myself, you're not Kim Kardashian. Like you can't post once.
Yeah.
And then be like, hey, it's going to take off. I'm like, man, you got to post consistently. And then the other mistake I hear a lot is people will be like, who can I hire to do it? And I'm like, you can't. Like, you've got to learn, like, your schedule yourself, like, what to post yourself, all kinds. It's a lot of work that goes into it.
No, 100%. And even for me, like, I've leveraged my platform to now, it increases my credibility.
Yeah.
So when I'm reaching out to guys for recruiting purposes or things like that, like, it increases my credibility to have a good social media platform. What I like to tell people all the time is that Instagram is the new Google search.
Yes, 100%.
If people are going to look up who Nicole Kotler is, they're going to Instagram.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how old that person is who's looking you up, that's where they're going. And so it becomes your digital footprint and becomes your personal brand. So
for sure.
Regardless of what industry you're in, if you're actually facilitating that, that's how you also get more business organically.
Yeah, 100%. Like, what I found is a lot of people will say they found me on Google, and then I'll like talk to them and they'll be like, I'm a big fan of your Instagram. And I'm like, they're like, but I just Googled you. And then they'll call through like a Google ad that I have. And then, it's crazy how that works. But yeah, and most of the people that call like off my Instagram are like 30s, 40s, and 50s. You'd think it'd be like younger people. It's not.
Yeah, because they're probably just scrolling on social media. You pop up on their For You page.
Right, yeah.
And they're like, oh, and it just resonates. And they feel like they know you. So there's that like relatability / like comfort that comes because you're posting stuff on social media that I think that if you're not, you kind of lose out on that.
Yeah, 100%. Like the biggest thing too is like you can't care what people think. Like I don't really even get that many nasty messages. I do get some, but like some people are like, dude, like how do you care? I'm like, they're like, I don't want to post. I'm like, honestly, most people think about themselves. Like they're not going to really worry about what you're doing,
I say that all the time. Like people are not that concerned with you.
Yeah, they're not. Yes, yeah.
Believe
it or not, people are not obsessed with Chris Colgan. That's shocking, right? Yeah.
People are like thinking more about themselves.
Yeah, 100%. That's what I say in sales. Like people are like scared to make a call. I'm like, dude, they're not worried about you. Like, they have kids, they have a wife, they have a life. They have things going on.
Yeah. No,
Which one, like, do you think, like, I feel like that influencer space is just going to get bigger and bigger. Like, even like you see like the ad dollars, like even this political season, you saw like some of the campaigns switched up. They didn't do much TV, radio. They were going to the influencer space.
Yeah,
I never thought I'd see that.
Yeah, well, actually, a couple, I'm not going to mention which one, but one of the political campaigns actually reached out about working with clients.
Yeah.
And they were like, hey, we have XYZ budget. Like, are any of your clients interested? Our clients were kind of like, we want to just
Politics is tough, man.
It's really hard. And so they were just, and they don't talk about it enough already on their page. So they're like, if we start talking about it now, it's not going to be organic, you know? But no, I want to say, I'm pretty sure that JP Morgan or Goldman Sachs or one of them came out and said that the influencer marketing space is going to be like a $30 billion industry in the next couple of years, which is insane. And it just goes to show you too that the way in which like businesses are now reframing their marketing strategies.
100%,
like back in the day, it was like billboards and advertisements. But I think the key differentiator is that people trust people more than they trust ads. So if your favorite influencer is that you feel like you know because you've been watching their content, you resonate, they show you their life, all of that. If they're posting about a certain brand or product, you're gonna be like, oh, I trust them.
Yeah, exactly.
Versus if you see like some fake ad on TV, you're gonna be like, I'm not buying that. It's an ad. Even though they're both ads, one just comes from a source that in your mind you can relate to. So it's that comfortability that you get.
Yeah, the problem is like you're not Coca-Cola, right? Like they can run ads like crazy. Because I used to do radio, like advertising for real estate, and they would be like, yeah, man, like, you know, it was expensive. And they were like, 2,000 people are gonna hear this. And I'm like, heck yeah. But then I thought about it one day. I'm like, maybe like 3 have a real estate need at the moment. And they have to be in their car at that second. And then when I got into YouTube, that like took over as like my main source, and Instagram.
Oh, really?
But yeah, because you start to get like a lot more like, the people start to like know you. They almost feel like they know you because they see you posting and they're like, they like your content. And everything. Yeah, I could, it totally makes sense if you're a brand, because it's even like people will be like, oh, I'm gonna get into Facebook ads. And I'm like, yeah, but it's like you're not really, you're just like, there's like kind of just like a hope, you know, there's like no search there. You're not being followed.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. One of the things I wanted to ask you about, like, so you're from the area, right? Oh, no, you're not from, you moved here, right? You did tell me that.
Even though I resonate, like I don't tell people I'm from Florida. So I'm from Florida, but I don't love Florida.
Yes,
gotcha. Because I'm from like South Florida. Just it's not my cup of tea. So people ask me, I'll be like, yeah, I'm from Florida, but really I like to say that Northern Virginia is my home. Like I really resonate more with Northern Virginia than I ever did with South Florida. Yeah,
Northern Virginia, I've said this many times, like I had a ton of clients leave during the pandemic and moved away, and every single one of them moved back.
Yeah.
They're like, you know what, the people are nice here, it's a good market, you know, the job market, and they're like, I don't know, I didn't really like it. And then other people say like, oh, the traffic was terrible in Florida. And I'm like, people are complaining about the traffic here, you know?
No, traffic's way worse in Florida.
That's crazy.
South Florida specifically.
Yeah, so like, if you were like a young professional, like where would you recommend someone live around here? What do you think?
I think Arlington's really cool.
Yeah.
I even think the Tysons area is not bad. Like you're like 20, 25 minutes from DC. But Arlington, I mean, you could probably say, I feel like Arlington's really what's coming up.
Yeah, Arlington's definitely popping. Like obviously there's a lot of companies there. It's a little bit of like a younger crowd. So it's like half rentals, half homeowners, like a lot of, what they used to think everyone would move there. And then a lot of people, once they start a family, they move out to like an Ashburn or Prince William County. All those other things. Yeah, is there like any good spots you like to go to around there? I know you're pretty busy because I follow you on Instagram and you're like, on the grind all the time.
Yeah, I feel like I'm on the road a lot, so I don't get many opportunities to like go around places. I actually go to a lot of restaurants in DC. If I'm gonna go to places in DC, I feel like that's the hub. I haven't tried too many spots in Arlington. I've done a couple workout classes over there, and so that's why I kind of like that area. It feels like young and nice
for
over
sure.
there.
Arlington's definitely like a younger crowd. Definitely, it's a good crowd over there.
There's a lot of, it's very walkable too. That's what I like about it. So like if you did live, like I used to go to a Barry's class. It's like a workout fitness class, and I would like after my workout, I could go walk to go get a coffee. Like there's like shops and things like that. That's why I really liked it. But I don't really go to many restaurants or cool spots. I go to a lot in DC. Yeah,
DC, like there was a statistic the other day. It has like as many like Michelin 5-star restaurants like as like Paris is like for them. And then it's like DC. It's crazy. Like DC has a ton of good restaurants.
Yeah, a ton. And I don't even feel like they promote themselves.
They don't. I don't even know who they are. I'm like, come on, tell me about you. You know
what I mean? Like, have you ever been to Delania?
I haven't, no.
Amazing. Like, so I highly, highly recommend Delania. It's a Mexican restaurant in DC. Have you been to RPM?
No, I haven't either, RPM? I've been to Applebee's over there, but not RPM,
RPM Italian.
Yeah.
So good.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'll have to check them out. Yeah, I mean, DC's a cool town. Like, I just had some people move from San Diego, and they're like, we always wanted to live in like the DC area, and I'm like, you don't really hear that a lot, you know?
Yeah. Are you licensed in DC,
I am.
and
Yeah.
Virginia?
So I do DC and Virginia. The problem is like Virginia is like one animal, and the DC is a totally different. They use a totally different contract and all that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but we do content in DC. The hard part is filming in there. Because not like you can just jump out of your car and walk around with a camera, and you've got tourists everywhere. You've got like the Secret Service watching you, because we do a lot around the White House and things like that. So yeah, but it's cool. But yeah, I mean, what ends up happening inevitably is like a lot of people will search on the town. So they'll search like an Arlington, and they'll be like, oh, you know, it's really expensive. I want to go out a little bit further out, like towards Fairfax and things like that. That's what inevitably happens.
Yeah, which is like the best real estate, the easiest real estate market to penetrate right now?
The easiest, like, I mean, like everything around here is super competitive. Like the high end is really tough, which I'm more like, I like the first time home buyers, like the move up people, like the 600-700, which is crazy because it's so expensive.
It's 600,
so expensive. Yeah, exactly. 600, 700,000. Like this house that we're in now is like 5.2 million. This is obviously a beautiful house, but yeah, those people too, they're really excited, easy to work with, things like that.
It moves a little bit faster, the transactions.
Yeah, 100%.
Too,
yeah, I mean, the average days on market in Fairfax is like 2 weeks. In some parts of the country are like 9 months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, the one thing about this area that I think is so great is that, like, I mean, don't quote me on this, but I feel like the real estate market is always kind of appreciating in a way, like where houses are always appreciating.
Right, yeah.
Because like the government jobs, like it's always kind of like a good area to like invest in real estate. I could be wrong.
No, 100%. I mean, obviously I'm biased, but I mean, if you look at it, like most of the country is already above pre-COVID. DC area is like 50% less of what it was. There's not much inventory around here. Then the other two things that I tell people, we don't have those huge tract neighborhoods that they have in like a Texas or like Florida. Like we just don't have land around here. And then we just did a video with Loudoun County Economic Development, and like everyone thinks it's all government. It's more technology than what people think it is, because all the data centers, and then
that's a huge thing.
Yeah,
data
like Amazon web. It's not even like Amazon like shipping. It's Amazon Web Services.
Yeah.
That's like, so there's like so many tech jobs around here.
Yeah.
But a lot of people like to be close to the government too and all that. But yeah, I think a lot of people think, oh cool, they're gonna get rid of all these government jobs. Like you can't do that. You can't just walk in and say, I'm firing the whole government.
Exactly. That's why I feel like the real estate here is always kind of at the same price or higher.
Yeah, I mean, look, we're at McLean, Virginia, right? Like you couldn't walk in here. I mean, of course you could if you just wanted to lose money and be like, I'm building a townhouse neighborhood. You know what I mean? It just doesn't happen. There's no land around here.
Yeah, 100%.
Well, cool. You know what? I'm getting the cut signal from them over there. I appreciate it. So how, if someone wants to follow you on Instagram, like what's the best way to reach you?
Nicole Kotler, 2 R's, NicoleKotlerr. Yes.
Nice. You know what? I really like following you because like you're like motivating, like not in a sense that you're like today, like you're not giving quotes, but like you're on the grind, or like, and like I like watching your like stories because you're like showing what's going on. I'm like, man, that's a lot of work. I'm like, what you do every day. So definitely follow her. I appreciate you coming on here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, guys, definitely subscribe to my channel. And then if you're listening, definitely as well. Appreciate you guys. See you at the top or from the top.